you're probably not ready for the next recession. Most people aren't. And the worst part? It's not because they don't have money, it's because they don't have a plan. During the 2008 crisis, millions of people lost their jobs, their savings, even their homes. Families who thought they were safe suddenly couldn't pay rent. People with solid careers had to start over from scratch. But a small group? They didn't just survive, they thrived. Some doubled their wealth. Others started businesses that are now worth millions. The difference wasn't luck. It was preparation. What did they do differently? In this video, you'll learn how to prepare your finances so you're not just surviving the next recession. You're positioned to take advantage of it. By the end, you'll know exactly how to protect your income, grow your savings, and make smart moves when everyone else is panicking. Because while the majority tightens their belts, the smart ones are buying assets on sale. And it all starts with a mindset shift. Because surviving a downturn has more to do with psychology than spreadsheets. Here's the truth. Recessions are not black swan events. They're predictable. They've happened roughly every 8 to 10 years for the last century. And yet, most people act shocked every single time. They overreact. They stop investing. They panic sell. They make emotional decisions that cost them years of progress. But the wealthy? They prepare in advance. They stay calm. And they look for opportunities while others are frozen in fear. So the first step is getting mentally ready. That means accepting one powerful idea. You can't control the economy, but you can absolutely control your plan. That plan starts with one word: cash flow. Forget savings accounts for a moment. Forget the stock market. Forget crypto. When a recession hits, cash flow becomes your financial oxygen. If it dries up, everything else starts to collapse. You need to know 3 things: where your money comes from, where it's going, and how much flexibility you actually have. Because let's be real, most people don't have an income problem. They have a leakage problem. Subscriptions they don't use. Impulse spending. Debt payments eating up 40% of their paycheck. If you want to stay in control during a recession, you need to clean this up before the economy forces your hand. In the next part, we'll break down the 3 steps to bulletproof your cash flow, including how to spot income risks before they explode and how to build a recession-proof side hustle starting from scratch. So let's talk about how to actually bulletproof your cash flow. Because when a recession hits, the people who stay calm are the ones who already made the hard decisions. The ones who didn't wait for the crisis to start before getting organized. You can't control if your company starts cutting jobs. You can't control inflation, interest rates, or what the stock market does next week. But you can control how lean your finances are. And that starts with knowing exactly where your money is going. Most people think they spend less than they do. That's why the very first step is facing the numbers. Not guessing, not hoping. Looking. Open your bank statements, export them into a spreadsheet, and categorize every single transaction from the last 3 months. Not just the rent or the car payment, everything. You'll be shocked. Subscriptions you forgot. Food delivery 5 times a week. Impulse Amazon buys at 2 a.m. This is not about guilt. It's about clarity. Because you can't make smart financial decisions in the dark. Once you've mapped out your spending, here's the key question. If my income dropped by 40% starting next month, what would I still pay for? And what would I immediately cut? That one exercise can turn a fragile financial situation into a resilient one. It forces you to define your essentials: housing, food, transportation, health, and maybe 1 or 2 things that keep your sanity. Everything else? Nice to have, not need to have. Now, reducing expenses is powerful, but it has a limit. There's only so much you can cut. That's why the second piece of this equation is even more important: increasing your income streams. Relying on a single paycheck is one of the most dangerous financial positions to be in, especially during a recession. Because if that paycheck disappears, your entire lifestyle collapses with it. The people who thrive during economic downturns are the ones who diversify their income early. And no, that doesn't mean building a full-on business empire. It means creating one additional stream of income you control. It could be consulting based on your current job skills. It could be selling templates, guides, or online services. It could be flipping products, doing voiceover gigs, or setting up a niche blog that brings in affiliate income. The options are endless, and most of them don't require quitting your job. But here's the trick most people miss. You have to build this before the storm hits. Not during. Because once the economy turns, panic sets in and opportunities disappear fast. Think about the people who had Airbnb properties in 2020 but no backup plan. Or the freelancers who depended on a single client. The ones who survived had already planted multiple seeds. They didn't wait for the economy to fall apart to figure things out. So here's the challenge. Take one skill you already have, even if it doesn't feel special, and find a way to offer it to the market in exchange for income. Start small. You don't need to make thousands in month one. You just need to prove to yourself that you're capable of generating money on your own. That confidence is priceless. Because when you know you can create income, you stop being afraid of losing it. And here's the part nobody tells you. Recessions create massive demand for problems being solved. Businesses need help cutting costs. People need help adapting. If you can help someone save time, save money, or reduce stress, you have something valuable. Even in a downturn. Especially in a downturn. Now that your income and spending are under control, it's time to think about defense. How to protect what you've built, and how to set yourself up to take advantage of the storm. Not hide from it. And that's where we go next. We're going to talk about emergency funds, how to build one fast even if you're starting from zero, and how to invest smartly when the rest of the world is in panic mode. Because the biggest wealth transfers in history don't happen during booms. They happen during crashes. And the people who win are the ones who prepared. Most people think the first thing you need in a recession is an emergency fund. But that's not entirely true. The first thing you need is clarity. Clarity about how much you really need to survive. Not a vague number like 3 months of expenses. I'm talking about a real number, calculated, intentional, and customized to your life. So let's break this down. Pull out that lean budget you created earlier. Add up the cost of just the essentials. Rent or mortgage, utilities, food, transportation, and insurance. Now multiply that number by 3. That's your short-term emergency target. Not 6 months, not 12. Just 3. Why? Because when people aim too high at the beginning, they get overwhelmed and don't start at all. But a small, focused goal builds momentum. If you need monthly $500 a month to cover the basics, then your first goal is $4,500. That's your cushion, your safety net, your breathing room. Now, how do you build it quickly, especially if you're starting with almost nothing? It's not about skipping coffee or never eating out again. It's about finding small but consistent wins. Start by putting any extra income, side hustle money, tax refunds, bonuses, directly into your emergency account. Automate it. Set up a rule in your banking app that moves 10% of every deposit into savings. Out of sight, out of mind. Then cut one non-essential expense and redirect that money. Even $100 a month adds up faster than you think. And here's something most people forget. Your emergency fund isn't just about money. It's about peace of mind. Knowing that if things go sideways, you have time to make decisions without panic. You're not trapped. Once you have that buffer, now you can start thinking like an investor. Because while the average person is watching the news and freaking out, the wealthy are watching the markets and preparing to buy. And that brings us to one of the most misunderstood strategies in personal finance. Investing during a recession. Most people do the exact opposite of what they should. They stop investing when prices are low and buy when prices are high. They think they're playing it safe, but in reality, they're locking in losses. That's how wealth shrinks. The wealthy understand something different. Recessions are when assets go on clearance. Stocks, real estate, even businesses. Everything gets discounted, and that's when smart money starts moving. But the key is this: you only benefit if you're liquid and emotionally prepared. You need two things: cash on hand and the discipline to invest when everyone else is scared. The best investors in history, Buffett, Lynch, Templeton, all made their biggest moves during bear markets. Not after. Not when it was safe. During. So how do you apply that? You don't try to time the bottom. You build a simple automated strategy. Set up regular investments, weekly or monthly, into low-cost index funds or ETFs. Even $100 a month. The consistency matters more than the amount. Because when the market dips, your money buys more shares. And when it rebounds, you come out ahead while everyone else is still waiting for the right time to jump back in. This is called dollar cost averaging, and it's one of the most powerful recession strategies ever created. But it only works if you keep going when it feels uncomfortable. That's where the edge is. That's what separates investors from spectators. In the final part, we'll tie it all together. I'll show you how to turn everything you've learned, your mindset, your cash flow, your emergency fund, your investment plan, into a long-term financial advantage. Because a recession is not just something to survive. It's a once-in-a-decade opportunity to leap ahead, if you're ready. Recessions are like financial wildfires. They burn through weak systems, but they also clear the ground for something stronger to grow. What you've built today, your cash flow, your emergency fund, your investing habits, that's your protection. But it's more than just protection. It's positioning. It's leverage. It's the ability to play offense when everyone else is playing defense. Because while most people will spend the next downturn tightening their belts and hoping for the best, you'll be analyzing, acting, and advancing. You'll have liquidity when others are forced to sell. You'll have options when others feel stuck. You'll have clarity in a sea of confusion. And most importantly, you'll have momentum. There's a secret about recessions that few people talk about. They reward those who stay calm, focused, and prepared. They punish the ones who delay action. Think about it. When the market crashes, panic spreads fast. People sell at the bottom. They give up on their goals. They press pause on their life plans. But the ones who stay in the game? They accumulate assets at discounted prices. They negotiate better deals. They build real wealth while others are trying to protect what little they still have. And it's not because they're smarter. It's because they made a decision before the chaos started. They committed to a plan and stuck to it. That's what you've done here. By taking the time to learn, to get organized, to prepare, you've separated yourself from the crowd. You're not reacting to the economy. You're responding with strategy. So don't stop here. Don't let this just be another video you watched and forgot. Take real action. Open that budget spreadsheet. Call your bank and automate your savings. Spend 1 hour this week researching a second income idea. Invest $50 into your long-term plan. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. Because consistency beats intensity every single time. And here's the truth. We don't know when the next recession will hit. But we do know that it will. It could be 6 months. It could be 2 years. But it's coming. And when it does, you'll be ready. Not scared. Not scrambling. Ready. And that puts you in the top 10%. Maybe even the top 1%. Because wealth doesn't go to the lucky. It goes to the prepared. If this gave you clarity, focus, or just a little fire to take action, hit the like button and subscribe. I'm building a community of people who aren't waiting for permission to build wealth. They're doing it, step by step and starting now. And if there's a specific topic you want me to dive into, side hustles, investing during a crash, or building wealth in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, let me know in the comments. Because the content I create was for you. The sooner you start, the sooner you grow wealth. And 10 years from now, your future self will thank you.